UFC fighters that should not be in the rankings. That's what I want to talk about today, guys. I am an advocate for fighters not being in the rankings, if they don't deserve to be. I'm tired of fighters getting ranked on a 5-fight win streak, a 6-fight win streak when they've beaten no one in the rankings. Cool, you beat all these Joe Blows and Joe Schmucks, but you don't have any good wins, or you've been ranked squadding for years, never fighting, and somehow the UFC allows you to stay in the rankings. This is what I want to talk about today. There's a lot of fighters that are in the rankings that shouldn't be. It really annoys me as a guy who wants the deserving contenders to be in the rankings. So let's get right into it, starting off with Sakura. Listen, this might be a hot take, but just because you came from another promotion, Ryzen, and you fought the champion in the UFC and you lost, dominated, doesn't mean you get to debut in the rankings. Number 14? Number 14 for what? Who's he beat? He fought Pantoja. Outside of a flying knee attempt, which kind of landed, he got completely dominated and destroyed. And yeah, man, I'm not trying to be a hater, but Sakura debuting at number 14, he shouldn't be in the rankings. He should have to fight into the rankings. Not, oh, hey, Sakura, you came into the UFC, you took the fight against Pantoja, here's a participation trophy, we'll throw you at number 14. Like, what about the other guys that are fighting to, be in the rankings? But this guy gets to debut at 14. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, and yeah, I could be coming off as a little bit of a hater, but I feel like if we're talking about rankings, we need to have guys who have wins in the rankings, not just throw him in the rankings because he's cool or he has a name. Either way, Sakura at number 14 at flyweight, I don't agree with it, but flyweight's shallow. You don't have too many flyweights, so I guess it is what it is. Let's move on to another flyweight, Tim Elliott. Listen, Tim Elliott, this might be a stretch, but he has one ranked win over in the last 4 years, and he hasn't fought in over a year. He hasn't fought since December 9th of 2023. Again, he got a technical submission arm triangle choke against Sue Mutajiri. And yeah, man, I know he has a win over Tagir Ulanbekov 2 years ago, but outside of that, that's his only ranked win in the last 4 years. And it's like, what is Tim Elliott doing? He's what? 5-2 in his last 7. Not bad, but it's like, against who? Schmucks. Get Tim Elliott out of the rankings. I know he fought Davis and Figueiredo, and he fought DJ, but he got destroyed by both of those guys. So why is he in the rankings? I know it's flyweight, and maybe he's in the rankings because there's no one else to really replace him, and that's always a good argument. But in my opinion, we should be having the rankings indicative of guys who are beating ranked opponents. Either way, Tim Elliott, I think, should not be in the rankings, but it's flyweight, so I guess it's excusable. Let's move on to the next one. Ayman Zahabi at bantamweight. Listen, 5-fight win streak, right? 37 years old, but against who? Pedro Munoz, who's no longer in the rankings? Pedro Munoz is not in the rankings anymore. Javid Basharat, not in the rankings. The other fights, I couldn't even tell you who those guys are. I know Vince Morales and Ricky Tercios. These other guys, who are these guys? Plata? Yeah, man, listen, I'm not trying to be a hater, but this guy's on a 5-fight win streak. Against who? And he's not getting finishes. Yeah, he's got 2 KOs, but, two decisions. I could understand if he was on a 5-6 fight KO streak. And maybe, but like, dude, 5 wins against who? I'm tired of the UFC giving out participation trophies. This is not a participation club. This is who deserves to be in the rankings and who doesn't. And Ayman Zahabi, in my opinion, should not be ranked at featherweight. There are other guys that could be ranked above him and knock him out of the rankings. But nonetheless, he's on a 5-fight win streak. Respect to him. He's old, though. I don't see him going far in the UFC. He's 37, so he's only going to be able to do so much. So, yeah, man. Let's get on to the next one. Edson Barbosa. Listen, looking at this picture, I know he's jacked. I know he's a fan favorite. He's been around for a long time. People love Edson Barbosa, but if we look at his fights, he's 2-3 in his last 5, and he got a win over Sadiq Youssef and Billy Quarantillo. Those guys aren't in the rankings. Lost to Bryce Mitchell, lost to Lerone Murphy, lost to Giga Chikadze. I mean, got pretty much destroyed by Bryce Mitchell and Giga Chikadze. So it's like, outside of Quarantillo and Youssef, his last one, who? Shane Burgos? Like, Shane Burgos is in the PFL, as far as I'm concerned, and he got a loss to Danny Gay. So, in my opinion, I know he's right there at number 15, but you could slide somebody else in over Edson Barbosa, who's maybe earned it more, or maybe even has a win over a ranked contender. Maybe nobody does. Maybe you could put Doo Hoo Choi to replace him. No, because that wouldn't make sense because he don't have a rank win either. I don't know, man. It's hard to make these arguments on why these guys don't deserve to be in the rankings, but I'm trying to base it off of their resume recently and who they've beat and where they're at in their career. So it's like Edson Barbosa, I don't think he's a guy that should be in the featherweight rankings. I mean, he just hasn't beat anybody to be in the rankings. So let's get on to the next one. Starting off with lightweight. Ooh, this is a good one. Benoit St Denis. I've been chirping about this for a long time. This guy was ranked number 12, I'm pretty sure, whenever he fought Dustin Poirier, right? He's ranked number 12. Loses Dustin Poirier. What happens? Stays at number 12. Okay, cool. Goes on to fight Renato Moicano this year in September. Loses to him. Yeah, maybe he'll drop down to 15, 14. No, stays at number 12. Who is Benoit St Denis, in cahoots with at the UFC to not move down the rankings, especially at lightweight, which is one of the most shark-infested divisions in terms of skill? How is this guy able to lose 2 fights in a row and remain at number 12? I don't think he should be ranked. His best win is Matt Frevola. Matt Frevola's getting steamrolled these days, so it's like, what are we doing? Why? And especially in his last fight where he looked like an absolute amateur, no way Benoit St Denis should be sniffing the rankings right now. I've been heavy on saying this. I'm not trying to be a hater, guys, but if you're on a 2-fight losing streak, how do you remain at number 12 and not drop out of the rankings? Like, just make it make sense. But yeah, Benoit St Denis. And by the way, I'm not arguing in this video. I'm arguing why these guys don't deserve to be in the rankings. I'm not arguing that somebody else deserves to be in the rankings and they don't. I'm just strictly arguing based off of performances and their record and resume, etc., why they shouldn't be in the rankings. Fair enough, you could always argue that the reason they're in the rankings is because there's not other people outside the rankings who deserve to be above them. But I'm strictly arguing performances, etc., why don't these guys deserve to be in the rankings? They are just not indicative of the best fighters in the top 15, in my opinion. So yeah, Benoit St Denis definitely falls in that category. Let's get on to the next one at lightweight. Jaylen Turner. Listen, Jaylen Turner at one point, if you look at the bottom, was on a 5-fight finish streak, just going through everybody. But then he ran into a 1-3 fight skid, which is where he's at now. He has 1 win since 2022, and that's against Bobby Green. And Bobby Green's cool, but dude, Bobby Green ain't all that. He just got destroyed by Paddy Pimblett. So it's like, how is Jaylen Turner ranked number 15? I'm sure you could slide somebody else in the rankings above Jaylen Turner. Joel Alvarez maybe even can move above him because Jaylen Turner hasn't done anything, man. He got TKO'd by Renato Moicano, lost to Dan Hooker and Gamrot. I know they were close fights, but he lost. So it's like 1-3 in your last 4. Your only win since 2022 is Bobby Green. Get Jaylen Turner out of the rankings. He needs to get a win. He needs to stop being a weight bully and potentially move back up to welterweight because, yeah, this dude's 6'3" fighting at lightweight. I rest my case. Either way, let's get on to the next one. We got Michael Chandler. Ooh, Muscle Mike. I hate this guy being in the rankings. 2-4 in the UFC. I feel like the only reason he's in the rankings is because Tony Ferguson was right. This guy got that Dana White privilege. I mean, he gets a fight against Charles Oliveira despite being 1-4 in his last 5 with two losses to Charles Oliveira. He fought for the belt, lost. And listen, I know he has a win over Dan Hooker, but that was in 2021, my guy. Since then, he's been TKO'd by Charles. Decision by Justin Gaethje. He KO'd Tony Ferguson, fair enough, who's on an 8-fight losing streak, by the way. Then he got submitted by Poirier, and then he just got destroyed by Oliveira. So it's like, Muscle Mike at number 7 is an absolute joke. No, there is no planet where Michael Chandler should be number 7. At the very best, he should be like number 14. But I don't even think he should be in the rankings. The UFC done this guy enough favors. He needs to fight someone outside the rankings. I want to see this guy against Ferocium. I want to see this guy against, somebody up and coming that can give him a challenge outside the rankings. He's been given enough favors, enough big names. Muscle Mike sat out for 2 years waiting on McGregor, didn't get to fight him, so it's time to move on. We ain't seeing you at the top, my guy. We're seeing you at the bottom because that's where you deserve to be because you're not winning and you're a dirty fighter. I'll leave it at that. Let's get on to the welterweight division. We got Michael Venom Page. Listen, only 2 fights in the UFC, right? He was a Bellator mainstay for a long time, just as Chandler was. But his only wins in the UFC is Kevin Holland, and he lost to Ian Gary. Decent fight against Ian Gary, but he kind of got dominated in the grappling. And yeah, then he got a win against Kevin Holland, lost to Ian Gary, and that's it. And now he's fighting Sherbet at middleweight. No way Michael Venom Page should be ranked. First of all, he got a cue ball head, and he lost to Mike Perry in bare knuckle boxing, which is hilarious. If you don't know, now you know. But yeah, Michael Page ranked at number 15 whenever he's not even fighting in the welterweight division is kind of a joke. And he only has 1 win against Kevin Holland, who hasn't even sniffed the rankings recently. So yeah, Michael Venom Page, let's get him out of the top 15. Let's get some more deserving contenders in there. Let's move on to the next welterweight contender who shouldn't be. Vicente Luque. Listen, I know he just got a good win over Themba Gorimbo, but outside of that win, he has 1 win. He has 2 wins in the last, 2.5 years, and they're against Rafael dos Anjos and Themba Gorimbo. Neither of these guys are ranked. Maybe RDA was a bottom feeder ranker whenever Vicente Luque beat him. I'm not sure. That was last year. I don't know if RDA was ranked, but either way, man, he got dominated in all of his wins, and it's not a good look for this guy to be in the rankings. I know he looked great against them, but let's not pretend like this guy wasn't getting dominated by Bilal Muhammad, dominated by Jeff Neal, destroyed by Joaquin Buckley. You know what I'm saying? It's like the rankings need to be indicative of the best fighters. And Vicente Luque, respect to him, he's been a long mainstay at welterweight. He has not been indicative of a top 15 fighter. So I don't think he deserves to be in the rankings. No hate, love Vicente Luque, one of my favorite fighters, but he needs to do more. Let's get more deserving contenders in the top 15. Let's move on to the next one. Colby Covington. Ooh, this is a good one. Colby Covington is similar to the Michael Chandler situation. Colby Covington has that Dana White, Donald Trump privilege. Like, he's far right and he supports the cause. So, Dana White's going to do this guy's favors. Colby Covington is, 2-4 in his last 6. And he's 0-3 in title shots. He fights once a year. If you look at it, look on the screen, guys. One fight in 2024, one fight in 2023, one fight in 2022, one fight in 2021, one fight in 2020, one fight in 2019. His only win in the last 5 years or 4 years is against Jorge Masvidal. It's like, why is Colby Covington in the rankings? Number 9 at that. I don't care if you just fought for the title and got dominated. Like, I don't care. Like, just because you fought for the title in the same case as Sakura doesn't mean you need to be ranked high. I just don't see it. Colby Covington has done nothing but lose and talk smack on Twitter and get interviews saying he's the best welterweight and consistently lose. And for whatever reason, this guy's ranked number 9. You look at his wins, guys. How's he ranked number 9? His best claim to fame is getting big broed by Kamaru Usman 2 times. And then he got big broed by Leon Edwards, got destroyed by Joaquin Buckley. It's like, how is this guy at number 9? He shouldn't even be in the rankings, but at best, I give him like number 14, number 15. Number 9 is a joke. So, yeah, in my opinion, Covington should not be in the rankings. Let's get on to the middleweight division. Michel Pereira. Now, listen, I know people are going to comment and be like, dude, what do you mean he's not deserved to be in the rankings, dude? He literally was on an 8-fight win streak. Because he looked absolutely embarrassing against Anthony Hernandez. That is not indicative of a top 15 fighter. This dude had the gas tank of like Shamil Gaziev. No way Michel Pereira should be sniffing the top 15 right now at middleweight. Look at his wins. Andre Petroski, Mikhail Alexeychuk, and Ihor Potieria. None of these guys have even sniffed the rankings, so I don't want to hear it. Just because you go on a long win streak doesn't mean you get to go in the rankings. I don't agree with that, especially whenever the guys he beat aren't even that close to the rankings. So it's like, and then he got destroyed by Anthony Hernandez. I know Anthony Hernandez is good, but for Michel Pereira to gas out in the first round and just get the crap beat out of him and look as embarrassing as he did, that is not a top 15 fighter, in my opinion, that I saw last time out. So get him out of the rankings. Let's get on to the next one. This is a controversial one. Sherbet. I know he has one eye, guys, and I know he got a double spinning back fist in his last fight. But who has he beat? Bruno Silva? That's who he beat? Bruno Silva's terrible. Did you see how he looked in his last fight? Antonio Tricali? Dern's new husband? That dude is awful. He's absolute garbage. Mikhail Alexeychuk, very mid, has a lot of losses, and Armen Petrosian, not very good either. So it's like, Sherbet is number 14 in middleweight. How? Because he's Dagestani, and the UFC likes this guy because he's marketable. He has one eye. He's Dagestani. He's a flashy striker. Let's throw him in the rankings, make him look good. Either way, I do not think 4-0 in the UFC against these opponents deserves a ranking. There are some guys that go like 6-7-0 in the UFC against better opponents and don't get ranked. So, yeah, Sherbet, fun fighter to watch. Cool guy, pirate, one eye, but yeah, he should not be ranked. He has no wins over ranked fighters, and even the wins he does have, his low 4-fight win streak, they're not that great. He hasn't beaten anybody in the rankings or anybody good. So, yeah, let's stop giving out participation trophies for guys to get in the rankings. You know what I'm saying? Let's get on to light heavyweight. No, this is middleweight. Paulo Costa, number 11 in the rank. Now, this is the biggest abomination by far in this division. Paulo Costa at number 11 is hilarious. He literally has one win since 2020, and that's against Luke Rockhold, who's now retired, who's 40 years old, by the way. Paulo Costa, 0 wins over any active UFC fighters. He doesn't have a single win over anybody that still fights in the UFC, and he has one win since 2019, and that's against Luke Rockhold. This guy is still ranked number 11 at middleweight. Make it make sense. How can you have one win against Luke Rockhold and be ranked number 11? Listen, I know he's fighting the best guys, but still, man, losses are losses. Fighting the best guys or not, you're still losing, and you still need to drop out of the rankings. If you're 1-4 in your last 5 and your only win is against Luke Rockhold, who, by the way, you couldn't even finish despite him being one of the most chinny fighters in UFC history. So Paulo Costa being ranked at middleweight is kind of a joke, I'm not going to lie. There are other guys I'm sure you can slide above him, especially him at number 11. Him at number 15 would be an abomination. Him at number 11 is just an absolute joke. No, in no world should Paulo Costa be ranked. I'd rather share a bullet at number 11 than Paulo Costa, but I don't think either of them should be ranked. Either way, get him out the rankings. He needs to get a win. He hasn't won a fight since Luke Rockhold fight, and outside of that fight, he hasn't won a fight in 5 years. So, yeah, get him out of the rankings. Let's get on to the next one. We got Alonzo Manfield at light heavyweight. Listen, I know he's on a low win streak. Now he's on a 2-fight losing streak. Who has he beat? His best win is Dustin Jacoby. Outside of that, what has Alonzo Manfield done at light heavyweight? Misha Serkinov, not in the UFC anymore. And he got destroyed by everybody. Jimmy Crute looks like he's walking on Legos whenever he strikes. Not impressive. And Dustin Jacoby, decent fighter, but a journeyman for the most part. And Alonzo Manfield's also on a 2-fight losing streak against lower guys in the rankings like Azamat Murzakanov and Carlos Alberg. These guys are like number 8 and like number 14 number 8 and like maybe number 11 or 12 in the division. So he's losing the guys that are lower in the division. Fair enough, they're good, but I don't think Alonzo Manfield at this point in his career should be in the rankings. We need to have the top 15 be indicative of the best fighters in the world, and I don't think Alonzo Manfield is one of the best fighters in the world right now. So get him out of the rankings. Let's get somebody else who deserves it more. Let's move on to the next one, Anthony Smith. Now, Anthony Smith is 2-5 in his last 7. And his wins are Vitor Petrino and Ryan Spann. 2 guys that have never sniffed the rankings. Ryan Spann, he's always been mid, and he's moved up to heavyweight. So Ryan Spann's not even a light heavyweight anymore. He has low fight IQ as well. And Vitor Petrino, shown against Dustin Jacoby, kind of a fluke master, and he literally threw himself into a guillotine against Anthony Smith. So it's like Anthony Smith has no ranked wins. Every time he's fought a ranked guy, Dominic Reyes lost. He fought Roman Dolidze, who came up a weight class, lost. Got destroyed by Khalil Roundtree, who was about to drop the hammer fist of death on him. Lost to Johnny Walker, who was attacking his family, and he lost to Ankalaev, who he said wasn't good as he expected him to be, despite beating him in the first round. That's hilarious. So, yeah, Anthony Smith. If Anthony Smith, listen, I'm not trying to hate, but if Anthony Smith is in the rankings in 2025, it makes the entire division look bad. Like, bro, you can't even say your division is the best. Anthony Smith's in the rankings. You get what I'm saying? So, yeah. Anthony Smith, in my opinion, we need to boot him out the rankings, and he's contemplating retirement, so even more of a reason. Let's move on to the next one, the last one. We got Johnny Walker. Listen, Johnny Walker's 7-6 in the UFC, and he's on a 2-fight losing streak. Hasn't won a fight since 2023, and his last 3 wins are against Anthony Smith, awful, Paul Craig, awful, and Jan Cutelaba, awful. And then he got KO'd by Jamal Hill and got beat by Thiago Santos, who's on an extreme downfall at the moment and probably isn't going to fight again. So it's like Johnny Walker hasn't literally beat nobody good. Like, he hasn't beat a single good fighter, in my opinion. I'm just sorry, he hasn't. Anytime he stepped up to fight a ranked fighter like Vulcan, gets KO'd. Magomed Ankalaev gets KO'd. Corey Anderson gets KO'd. Jamal Hill gets KO'd. Johnny Walker, no defense on the feet. A clown, not going to lie. I'm not trying to be a hater, but this guy doesn't look like an elite fighter in there, man. He just looks like he's a wild man trying to get a KO, a lucky KO. And if he doesn't get it, he typically gets chinned. So, yeah, that's going to be it for this video, guys. This is some fighters that I don't think deserve to be in the rankings. Sure, some of them you could argue, being that there's not enough other guys outside the rankings to pass them up, that they could be in the rankings. But some of these are just a joke. Like, how is guys like Benoit St Denis in the rankings? Colby Covington, how is he not dropped out of the rankings? Because he's best friends with, Either way, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Am I just being a hater? Am I just being negative? All the above. Leave a comment down below. Let me know those things. Leave a like on the video. And guys, check out my other content. I literally post a video every single day. So if you're subscribed to the channel and you missed a video, go back and watch it. Let me know what you guys think. Show some love to the channel. I also do daily streams. I appreciate all the support recently, guys. It's been amazing. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm out, and peace.